There we go. Everybody, welcome to the Be Fantastic episode number 50. We are live in San Diego. I've got a guest with me today, Randy Mascarenas. I got it right. I'm very good with names.
How you doing, everyone?
And the call is 913-5533. If you tuned in yesterday, I interviewed Randy twice because Randy is like an encyclopedia for government issues, government regulations, the freedom of speech, and all those other good things. And he's a fascinating guy. Just met him recently. He is a and I'm a minute late. Now, one of my sayings is never be late. A little bit late. I apologize.
I was going to blame it on me being on the phone all morning since 3 o'clock this morning. I can't get on.
This guy.
I was going to take the heat here.
There you go. Well, it's all Randy's fault. No, you know, why is everything I have to have a fault? You notice that? It's his fault. It's your fault. Whose fault is it?
See, you know what I do? I don't apologize for anything. I say, look, I appreciate you guys' patience.
Yeah.
Everybody likes it when you appreciate them.
See, that's very good because I tell people, instead of saying I'm sorry that you're late, say thank you you turn it around. Say thank you for being patient and waiting.
Exactly.
See, people don't they don't get it. So we're going to go for a drive, and maybe we'll turn it around if it's a beautiful view. The other day, as you know, on Saturday, I was with Bishop, who's our host down here in San Diego, and we're going to be doing a lot of great business in Fiji. But as I was interviewing him, I ran into a huge rally, which I just thought was a rally to get America back again, right? I mean, all Americans. So then I sent it around to a few people, and they said, why are you sending me a Trump rally? I thought it was just a rally for America. But I guess the Democrats or something don't want to. I don't talk politics, by the way.
You know, that's the problem with America, though. We're not Americans anymore. We're this, we're that. You know, we have all these little hyphens and stuff. We're African American, we're Hispanic American, we're Asian American. I thought we were all just Americans.
Well, what is American, but only 200 years old, 220 now, right?
Right.
220 years old, somewhere around there. And we're a mix of every other country. I mean, we are the strongest country probably in the world, one of the strongest. And you can make an argument for that, I guess.
You know, here's the thing, though. You know, when you talk to somebody from Germany, it doesn't matter whether they're Asian. If they were born in Germany, they're Germans. They don't say Asian German.
We're not African.
We're Germans.
Right.
We're German. You know, we're English. We're this. We're that.
Chinese.
But here in America, we're divided.
Yeah.
We compartmentalize ourselves, and no wonder we have division because we divide ourselves.
Yeah. That's why I don't talk politics or religion, because politics, nobody knows what's going on. And in religion, no one can agree on anything. Right?
That's thousands and thousands and thousands of years of histories of war over my God versus your God.
Right. And even with let's just take the Catholic religion for a quick second. I don't think they can even agree on the same Bible.
No.
If you can't agree on the same Bible and the same religion, what the hell's going on?
Well, I mean, not even that. I mean, you know, look at the Catholic religion. You got the Catholics, right?
Yeah.
But then you got the Greek Orthodox.
Right.
But you know, that wasn't enough. Now you have the Russian Orthodox.
Right.
You know, you got all these different things, and you know, at the end of the day.
Now you probably have a bit of a historian on wars as well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how many wars have we had?
What do you want to talk about?
Oh, which one? Let's put it
this way. Let's put it this way. We've got about a 240 year history right now.
Yeah.
We've only had about 12 years in that entire history where we weren't at war.
Oh, really?
So you tell me which war you want to talk about.
What is that movie? War of the Roses?
War of the Roses. That was an amazing movie.
That was a fantastic movie. Movies and all that stuff, too?
Yeah, I do.
Did you ever see Being There?
Being There. I don't remember. I do not recall that movie.
Peter Sellers?
Oh, Peter Sellers. I love Peter Sellers.
Classic movie. I actually, on my website, Be Fantastic Today, I list my favorite movies, which I think everyone should see, because there's some really classics out there that if you didn't see it, you know, it's ridiculous. Like, what's the one where Peter Sellers and they dropped the bomb with George C. Scott? And they had a huge cast. He played 5 characters.
Yes, I know which one you're talking about. He's actually one of the first actors that went in.
That wasn't Dr. No, or How We Learned to Live with the Bomb, something like that.
Right. I forgot. Oh man, I can't remember the name of it.
That was a fantastic movie.
But it was actually one of the first movies where one character played multiple roles.
Well, Peter played 5 roles.
Yeah.
Peter Sellers played 5 roles. But at any rate, so now, speaking of movies, everybody, now is a fantastic time to catch up on your favorite movies or movies you haven't seen before. Now, let me turn this around. Can you see this screen? I want to turn around and show the crowd what a gorgeous drive we're doing right now. You don't want to see our ugly mess the whole time.
Yeah, check out that ship over here with the sails and stuff. That's amazing.
Yeah, I did a couple shows down here. This is the Maritime Museum down here in San Diego. And it's just, I really like San Diego. It's got a huge bay. Because where I came from, Marina Del Rey, you don't really have that much boating. But here you got some fantastic boats.
So I can go be a pirate on that ship right there. I want that one.
Exactly.
I could be a pirate. I want to be a pirate.
That is a classic antique there. And now we have, they're doing a lot of construction, which is good. Speaking of construction, Randy here is going to be lending billions of dollars, upwards of $15 billion, to construction loans. And the way he made it to me last night, if you think about it, a guy who's in construction, who builds a city or a town, it really gives the infrastructure and the impetus for a whole community of workers. How did you, go ahead, take it from there. Because he buys the land.
Yeah, so most construction loans, when you do a construction loan, the developer's coming out of pocket a whole ton of money. For instance, first thing you got to do is buy the land. But nobody's going to loan you all the money in the land, so that means you got to usually got to come in with 50% of the price of the land. So that's a whole bunch of money right there. And then you got to do all your mobilization, your soft costs, and all of that stuff, right? So that's even more money out. You got to put all this money out just to get to permits. And then you can only come talk to a guy like me who does the construction. But now, I'm only going to give, if it was being a typical construction lender, I'm only going to give you 65, 70% of the dollars that you need. You need to go out and find the money for the rest of it from investors or mezzanine funding, which gets very expensive then. You know, if you get investors, you're now putting cash, moving it from financial vehicles where it's getting interest and making you money. You're now putting the dirt where it's costing you money. And once you bring on investors, you're now diluting your equity in the project, which means you're diluting your profits in the future. So you're giving away long-term money for short-term benefit. And that's the problem with construction lending. Plus, you got to come in with a year's debt service. So if somebody's got to come in with 35% on a regular construction loan, that means they really got to come in with about 40%.
Right.
After costs, fees, and all that stuff is done. I'm different. I know everybody says they're different, but I really am. I am unique.
Oh, yeah.
I do 100% construction loans. We do the takedown of the land. We do all soft costs. We do mobilization, attorneys, all that stuff. So you'd have to go out and spend $3 million up front for drawings and architectural. We give you the money for that.
Okay.
But beyond that, we make it easy, okay? We don't nickel and dime you on fees. We charge a flat percent. We charge flat points. We do your debt service for you. So now when a construction loan is done, you got to start paying on it. It's a loan.
Right.
So you're building this big, huge, gigantic building. There's no revenue coming in, but you got to make payments on that loan.
Right.
With us, I don't want my clients worrying about anything except getting that building up.
Right.
So what I do is if it's a 4-year project, I roll in 4 years of debt service into the loan. This way the loan is being paid and they don't have to worry about it.
Because there's no income.
I finance the debt service.
Right, right.
And the great thing about it is, once the project is complete, we automatically convert it with no additional fees, no underwriting, no nothing. We just do we get the certificate of completion and we convert to a permanent financing. No prepayment penalty, no balloon, no nothing. Straight 20-year amortization. And the great thing about it is that even if it's a 4-year project or a 5-year project where it's 4 or 5 year build, you get to keep your rate that we gave you 5 years ago on the permanent financing. And my rates are like 4.5%. Yeah. You can't even go out and buy you could barely go out and get a home loan on an FHA or VA, right, or a conventional loan at 4.5%.
So you're doing a good service to the community. By the way, everyone, you're looking at the USS Midway. That was at Pearl Harbor, and it survived, I guess. So it's here for it's a museum now.
But that's awesome, isn't it?
The point I was trying to make, though, is that you said it was about putting people to work.
You see, look, here's my philosophy. Everybody out there who does lending, they're out there for the money. They care about the bottom line. How much money are we going to make, and can this client service the debt?
Correct.
Now, we care about that because, look, we got to stay in business and everything, right? We got to make sure that the project can service the debt, because we got to get paid back.
Right.
But this is not why we do loans. This is not why we created this amazing structure that when I tell developers about it, they do not believe me. They think I'm lying to them because they've never, ever heard of anything like this. They don't have to come out of their pocket any money And I do $100 million minimum projects, up to $20 billion. They don't have to come in with no money.
Right.
On a $100 million project, you're usually having to come in with $40 million.
Right.
Most people won't ever see $40 million,
Right.
let alone have to come in with it.
Right. So we just crashed the gate, ladies and gentlemen, real quick. I wanted to show Randy one of my favorite little sites down here in San Diego. And that is, what do you think about that in front of us there? The Big Kiss. You know where that's from, right?
Let me see.
That's the famous shot in New York, Times Square.
Yes.
At the end of the World War II. And it was caught in the middle of Times Square when they were told the war was over.
The war was over and they're coming, they're home.
And they're coming, our guys are coming home. Whoa.
And also, with us though, it's not about that. With us, it's about the relationship. And it's about doing what all these politicians claim to do. See, all these politicians out there, they say that they create jobs, they stimulate economy. They do not. You know who creates jobs? You know who stimulates economy? Entrepreneurs and business owners, developers.
That's the point I was trying to hit home. So go.
My clients build these big, gigantic projects, $100 million and bigger. My average construction loan right now, well, let's put it this way: the 15 projects I've got full approvals on right now from us. We got 14 loans for $16 billion. That means my average project right now is $1.something billion.
Right.
These guys are going out there, they're hiring thousands of employees to build this stuff. They're hiring thousands of people, putting architectural firms, design firms, contractors, laborers. But not only that though, they got to get the material from somewhere to build. So now they're placing big, gigantic orders with suppliers. Suppliers are having to bring on more people to fill the orders. That's more jobs. Those suppliers are getting that material, the raw material, from the manufacturers. Those manufacturers are now getting hit with big, massive orders, which means they got to bring on more people. Money's flowing, profits and revenue are generating, and Americans are working.
That's why it's great when you drive around and you see big construction sites. You know the economy is robust.
Yeah. So, I mean, you got a laborer, a drywaller. He's out there in New York. He's working. He got a job. He's working. He's putting food on the table. He's putting clothes on his kids' back, keeping a roof over the head, making the car payment, taking family vacations, creating lifelong memories that hopefully, 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now, the family are still remembering. Remember that time that we went here? Remember that time that we went there and we did this? This is what I helped to create in this room. That's why I do what I do.
And you know what I said about that? I think that's fantastic.
And it's amazing. It is absolutely fantastic.
It is fantastic. I'm not sarcastic.
It doesn't get any better than that. That's why I do this. I want Americans working. I want money flowing in this country. The only time that money is being made is when things are going up and buildings are being built and jobs are being created. When that happens, America and Americans are doing really well.
God bless America.
I love my country. I love my fellow Americans. This is why I do what I do. This is why we created a construction program that nobody in this world has ever seen. And it's fantastic and it's amazing. And you know what? And because of it, I have so many developers coming at me that I've got like a 4-month waiting list just for me to look at your project.
Right.
You gotta love it. And I look at these projects, I'm thinking to myself, I was talking with a friend of mine 2 weeks ago in Ohio, and he used to be a project manager on big projects, and he's listening to me, and he's on the phone, he's like, my God, how are you doing this? And he started looking at, he started hearing the projects that I'm going, and he's like, Randy, I'm putting this in my head and I'm picturing this stuff. He goes, right now in America, just with the projects that you have in underwriting, you don't have the labor force to put the projects up. There's not enough contractors, there's not enough construction workers to do all the work in America just on those 15 projects you have. So guess what that means? We got to go create more jobs and get new people coming in and teach them those skills to do this. That's exciting.
I love apprenticeship. There's a building right there going up over there. 5-story building. That's probably only 20 million.
This is great,
right?
20, 30 million maybe. But this is San Diego, so it might be more. things are a little bit more expensive in San Diego than they are in other parts of the country.
Right. So anyone listening want to ask Randy a question about construction, about lending, about being fantastic, doing fantastic things, I'm here as well to answer any questions. It's 310-913-5533. Feel free to call in, and you can join the conversation. And speaking of conversations, I recorded yesterday a letter that one of my ambassador, 2.5 hour, no editing, just two guys talking, or two girls talking, or whatever, two people talking, I should say, two humans talking. And he picked the wrong subject, I guess, because this guy named Dice Cat, and he 70% real and 30% made up, maybe. But the problem is he's been defamed and taken off the air because we don't have freedom of speech. And that was what I really liked about Randy. Randy is an expert on all the doctrines from all over the world that tell you about freedom of speech. And I read it in yesterday's video. So you really wanted to go back to yesterday and listen to my reading of Brian Rose's letter and stand up to what's going on in the world today. You want to talk about a little bit about freedom of speech there, Randy?
Yeah,
That's not free anymore?
one of the greatest things that the history of the world had ever come up with was this idea that my thoughts are mine, that I'm free to have my own thoughts, but more importantly, I'm free to express my thoughts. I'm free to talk about my ideas, my beliefs, no matter who disagrees with them. Because when two people start talking and they start sharing ideas, fantastic things happen in the world. Look at the Roman Republic. It started with two people who shared an idea, Remus and Romulus. They created the Roman Republic because they wanted people to be free. No more kings, no more rulers, no more nobility who could come around and kill the peasants just because you didn't move out of their way quick enough. They wanted a world, a stated, and they were free and they could engage in commerce and they could be whatever they wanted to be. And for a very long time they were. And then they changed. Like they lost freedoms.
Greed probably got in the way.
Christian greed. They forgot that they worked for the people. And they're working for themselves. Their personal profits. Their money. That's what was out there. Does that sound familiar with today?
Yeah, history is repeating itself.
So now, when you ask why would we care so much for freedom of speech, why is this and guns? What he fears is one man with an idea. So if the fear of one man with an idea scares him more than entire armies, what does that tell you about the freedom?
These things heat up for some reason. Yeah, we're still recording.
We're live.
Anyway, I guess we ended up.
We're at the terminal. Look, I'm not ready to leave yet.
You want to jump on a plane?
No, I still got clients to meet here. I got 2 clients I'm meeting this week.
Okay. Well,
I have 3 now. I got Bob, I'm meeting with Bob, talking about billions of dollars in projects in Fiji.
Right.
I've got a huge, massive project that I'm doing down in Colorado, in Aurora. I'm meeting that developer. He's coming down tomorrow from Huntington.
Okay.
And I'm putting up a Ritz-Carlton, and one of the developers is in the same area, Orange County. He's coming down tomorrow to meet, or he's coming down Friday or Saturday to come meet with me. And the reason I do that, you talk to most of the developers out there, they never meet the bank. The bank doesn't care. They just want their money.
Right.
Me,
It's a personal.
my whole idea is that
people
meeting my clients face to face, that relationship, putting my hand in their hand for that handshake, is just as important, if not more important, than the money that we bring to the table for them to build their projects.
Right. Well, of course, do you shake their hands nowadays, or do you do the fist bump?
No, I shake hands. I don't care. Look.
Now you did go on an airplane the other day to meet with me here, and did you wear a mask on the airplane?
I told them that I had pre-existing conditions.
Did everyone else wear a mask on the plane?
Yes, they did.
And you didn't?
I did not.
Because it supposedly circulates if you read all the rumors.
Oh, it does circulate, but here's the thing though. You look at the latest data from the CDC and all these other groups about the mortality, the infection rate and the mortality rate,
right,
in all 50
right.
We're talking death rate comparable to common cold.
Although, had they not quarantined, I think it could have been worse because it was very infectious. So the fact.
Well, that's what they told us, but it doesn't matter. I mean, the flu. I caught a flu in Texas, and thousands and millions and millions of people were catching the exact same flu.
Right.
All of these things were infectious.
Right.
It doesn't matter how many people get sick. People catch the flu and the cold every damn day.
Right.
More people died from H1N1, 4 years ago?
Well,
we had like 150,000 people that died. You know what? Nobody heard of it.
Yeah. Well, we have 30,000 people die from hunger every day in the world. But, and so that there's been 4.
But that's not sexy.
It's not.
You can't get a whole bunch of control and power and manipulation with hunger. Because that kind of brings out the fact that, governments are screwing up. People are starving on the streets. But scare people with a cold or some,
They certainly scared the bejesus out of everyone, didn't they?
Well, they did. You got an entire world that locked itself down. The bad thing is we worry about this death rate from coronavirus. But what they're not telling you is the number of people that are dying from suicide and hunger.
Right.
And homelessness because they're broke now because they can't work. And grocery stores, last I checked, were not taking IOUs because of coronavirus.
Right.
And not everybody, very few people. In fact, I don't know anybody personally. I know 2 people personally that got a stimulus check. And it's not that I'm working. It's not that I only know rich people.
Did you get a stimulus check?
No, I never got anything.
One of the friends of Bob?
No.
He got a stimulus check and he bought a car with it, which I thought was fantastic. He needed a car. The government gave him a car.
Now he can go to work. Now he can go to work, get a job.
Exactly.
But then again, I know that the day that the stimulus money came out, Walmart got emptied out of TVs.
Oh, is that right? I didn't hear that.
So I guess it all depends on the individual. Me personally,
that way they can keep up with the coronavirus.
Got to keep up. Got to keep up with Corona.
Now, what I did notice is there's such conflicting arguments. If you do watch television, if you watch MSNBC, it's completely to the left, or right, whichever one. I'm not sure.
I think it's left.
Is it left. And if you watch Fox News, it's completely to the right. So who's telling the truth?
Well, here's the thing. News today does not present facts. Remember Walter Cronkite?
Yeah.
Was it Walter Cronkite?
Yeah.
Walter Cronkite got on the TV, right? And he would do this amazing thing where he would just read news.
But he was reading what someone told him to read, though.
No, he was just reading the news. And in today's news, there was a train derailed over here, spilling contents over here, and this happened, and this number of people died. And he stopped, and he just told you the facts. Not implied anything. He didn't try to twist anything. He did not give opinion. He just gave you the who, the what, the where, the when, the why, and the how. That was it.
But if it
with no opinion.
If it was truly the facts, though, because the big money tells him what to say. He's not.
No, this was in the 50s.
Oh, okay. Well,
this was in the 50s.
But they were controlling back then the big money, right?
Not really. No.
They were controlling the media. Okay.
To some point, yes, but let's say that today a car accident happened at this intersection. He would just tell you what happened in that accident.
Right.
Not, and he might have been drinking. We don't know yet, but he could have been. He didn't do that. He just did. And today we have a car accident over here on this corner, on this intersection, involving 2 cars. 2 people were sent to the hospital. 3 people went home. And that's the end of that story. He just told you the facts.
Right.
We don't do that anymore. Now we are given propaganda. We are told, and we are given things that manipulate the truth, twist the truth, flat out lie about it. We can't believe anything anymore. We are living in 1984 where 2 plus 2 equals 5. And where every day you're told a story, but then we go out and, people like you and me, we go out and we start doing some research and we find out the truth and we start posting the truth. And next thing you know, the stories start backpedaling.
Well,
because we found out the truth and we found out you're lying to us.
I've seen newscasts actually reading the newspaper article on the news.
Yeah.
So it's just one rumor going to the next rumor and expounding upon it.
Here's the thing. All of our media today is owned by basically 6 companies. And all of the news comes down from Bloomberg at the AP. So every morning the AP sends out the news.
The bad news. Of course, there's no
whatever they want the news to be.
Well, they say that the dictum of news is if it bleeds, it leads.
Exactly. Tragedy sells.
They tried to have a news network once, didn't fly.
If the news only, there was a newspaper out there that said, we're not going to do that kind of news. We're going to do uplifting news. We're going to tell about amazing things going on in the community, things that people are doing to help each other out. We're going to spread good news. They went out of business in less than 2 months.
That's what I just said. They tried the good news and it didn't work.
Nobody bought it. There was no sensationalism.
But now that every newscast likes to end with one tidbit of good news. Now, I wanted to show everyone this fantastic park here, everybody. San Diego is really quite the beautiful place. I've shown the city quite a bit in my interviews. The Balboa Park, this park here on the left, it's fantastic. But everything's closed. You can see, well, it's opening up now, but as I drove down Balboa Park, it's gorgeous, and it's yellow tape everywhere. I mean, you couldn't get into the Air and Space Museum, the Automotive Museum, any of the museums. Everything's closed, of course, still. But I like to bring everybody views of the city. But it's still closed, unfortunately. Now there's a lady. She's walking around without a mask. That's fine. I can't see. I won't get people jogging with a mask on. I just don't get that.
That's dangerous. Yesterday somebody wrecked their car because they were wearing their mask and did nothing but suck down their own CO2.
Right.
They were sucking down their own CO2, and that's bad.
It's very bad.
Surgeons and doctors are telling you, don't wear this.
Well, the mask, when it first came out, it was really so you stop touching your face. Because if you touch a public surface and there's a virus on it and you touch your face, which most people do 80 times an hour or some ridiculous amount like that, so it keeps you from touching your face, basically.
There's this thing called carbon monoxide poisoning. I forgot, carbon dioxide. See, I'm stumped now.
Carbon monoxide.
Carbon monoxide. When you're breathing through one of those masks, you're not breathing fresh air.
No, I know.
You're breathing your own carbon monoxide in.
You're not getting oxygen.
You're engaging in carbon monoxide poisoning of yourself.
I know. And then
I'll take the chances with something that I've got a 0.0. Yeah, exactly. I'll take my chances with something that has a 0.05% death rate.
Yeah.
I got a better chance of dying from the flu than I do of this.
Yes, indeed.
Or I can kill myself.
But
pretty much guaranteed with carbon monoxide poisoning.
Why won't they report that though? What's the reasoning behind not
control
reporting?
And fear? Right now, every state has a constitution. The U.S. has a constitution. They all say the same thing. The executive branch does not make law. Yet all these governors are putting down these orders like they're laws. They've exceeded their authority. We got to remember, we don't work for these. We don't answer to them. They answer to us. They have very limited power. And right now, pretty much 40, there was like 5 or 6 states that didn't close. That means every other governor, every other mayor in this country who is closed down have violated their oath of office. They violated the state constitution. They violated 6 out of the 10 amendments in the Bill of Rights. They're guilty of deprivation of rights under color of law, which is a USC code. It's punishable by 5 years up to death. They're guilty of violating their oath of office. They're guilty of violating the state constitution, the U.S. Constitution. They cannot tell you to close down. They cannot tell you to quarantine yourself. They cannot put you under house arrest. They cannot arrest you for any of this.
But they certainly did.
But they did.
And they are.
Now the question is, why did they do this, and why are we letting them get away with this?
Okay,
so
that's the big question.
It all comes down to power and control. Power and control. If you look at New York, Grisham is in there, and she's acting like she's Hitler or Mussolini. She's acting, she's like, oh, you're going to do what I say, or I will arrest you. I cannot be arrested for what you say. You do not have the power to make law. Just because you tell me to do something does not make it law. You don't have the authority. We're a country of laws, not of mob rule. We're not a democracy, we're a republic. In a democracy, she can do this. But in a republic, this gets her thrown in jail or executed. But we don't enforce our rights anymore. We just believe them when they tell us they have the power to do it.
We just are sheep. We just follow what they're telling us, which path to go down.
Exactly. 1984, everybody believed that 2 + 2 was 5 because they were told it. And nobody questioned it. And nobody looked into it. And nobody researched it. And nobody talked to anybody else about it. Because if they had, they would have found out that 2 + 2 = 4. Not 5.
Laying in the street there.
Yeah, this is the problem in California. 50% of our homeless people in this country are in 2 states, New York and California. Why is that? Oh yeah, that's right, because this is the 2 states that have forgot that they're republics, and they've gone completely socialist and communist. And this is what happens in socialism and communism. Everybody's equal in poverty. Except for those that rule you. The politicians, the Politburo. Those guys are rich, while the rest of everybody else wallows in poverty. But hey, socialism works, I guess, they say. I have never found a single example where socialism has ever worked anywhere in the world. I know that, the Bernie Sanders like to bring out Sweden and Norway and stuff, and Sweden and Norway are actually openly telling Bernie Sanders to shut up because they're not socialist countries. They're capitalist countries.
And we can't even go to this great steakhouse right here, which I'd love to. Brazilian steakhouse.
Brazilian steakhouse.
Love those things.
I want to go.
Well,
but I can't because I'm not free anymore.
Exactly. When are they going to unlist the chains?
Our founding fathers asked that same question, and they demanded that the chains be released because the king was violating their rights under Magna Carta. They had rights. They had freedoms. And the king said, I don't care. You're going to do what I say. And if you don't like it, I'll take your children. Kind of like CPS. Kind of like they're threatening to do right now with this coronavirus stuff. If you can't self-quarantine in a room with your own bathroom, then we're going to come and take your kids.
It's ridiculous.
Can you imagine what Thomas Jefferson would say if somebody knocked on his door and said, hi, I'm from the King's Child Protective Services, and I'm here to take your kids? They were taking our money and we shot them in the face. Can you imagine what they would have done if they came for our kids?
Yeah.
But we let them. Because we don't enforce our rights and our freedoms because nobody knows them, because
people just don't know what their rights are. They don't know what their Bill of Rights are. They don't know.
Let me tell you what our rights are. Our rights do not come from a piece of paper. Our rights are not the freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms. That's not our rights. When you read the Declaration of Independence, it says the only duty the government has, the only power it has, is to protect my individual freedom. In other words, the only thing that the government is supposed to do is to punish those who hurt me or my property, not to tell me what to do. Government's job, nor their power, is to tell me what I can and cannot do, unless it involves me hurting somebody or their property. Not hurting an imaginary thing called the state, not potentially hurting somebody, not I have the capability to hurt somebody, but I actually have to create a victim. And our founding fathers were very clear. No victim, no crime. So if I'm driving down the street and I'm going 5 miles over the speed limit, I didn't hurt anybody, what crime have I committed? If I burn down my own barn and I don't hurt anybody or their property, what crime have I committed? But today, the average American, depending on which state you live in, because the states have their own laws and the feds have their laws, plus, agency regulation, which is a completely unconstitutional thing. The average American today has to know somewhere around 8 million laws, because they say ignorance of the law is no excuse.
That's correct.
Lawyers don't even know the laws. You got lawyers that only do tax because that's the only laws they know.
Tax laws.
So if they don't even know all the laws, how am I supposed to know all the laws? Our founding fathers said that laws should be single-item things written in such plain and common language that the most common of men can understand it. And government should not be writing laws anyways. They should write very few laws. Because in a world of free men, we're not told what we can and cannot do. And laws, basically what our founding fathers said about laws is that laws are the government's way of stealing your freedom.
Yes, I would agree with that. Keep you in line.
Obey.
Now, do you think most people obey the law for religious reasons as well? They think they're going to go to hell if they do something bad, like kill someone? It's against the law.
A lot of people do.
It's against the law to kill someone, right?
Well, look, stay away from the religion. Okay, look, We are not a Christian nation, but we were a nation of Christians, okay? This is where most of the people in America, this was their belief. We believed in the Judeo-Christian ideas. Do not kill, do not rape, do not steal, do not do these things to each other. But you notice that each one of those things was do not do bad things to other people and hurt them or their property. That's where these Judeo-Christian rules came from, or what they revolved around. Do not hurt other people physically or hurt their property. It's kind of funny how our laws and our government was kind of restricted to the same thing. And not creating a whole bunch of rules that don't violate anything, where, you know, if I walk across the street jaywalking, 5 cops can come tackle me and beat me up because I jaywalked. Who did I hurt? The government's job is not to protect me from myself. The government's only job is to protect my individual liberty. So if I want to walk across the street in the middle of the road and there's no cars coming, I look both ways and I make it across, who did I hurt? Well, you potentially could have caused an accident, but I didn't.
Right. Well, we just can't have everyone jaywalking, as you know. What would the society be if we all jaywalked?
We'd be free.
We'd be free, exactly.
We would be free, just like we were supposed to be. But, you know, again, going back to freedom of speech, this is why they don't want people to have free speech, because we can now share these ideas. We can communicate these things.
Well, we don't have just exactly with Brian Rose. He got shut down. 9 years of hard work, just trying to make a civil society, you know, with communication, and he's shut down. I mean, it's really a travesty.
Oh, it is. I mean, look, you know, I don't care, like David Icke, right? David Icke says a lot of the same things I do because it's true. Government corruption, what the Constitution says, things like that. Now, where him and I diverge on past is where he starts talking about things that cannot be validated. You know, reptile aliens with human alien hybrids that rule the world. Okay, I can't prove that, so I'm not talking about that.
Correct.
I only talk about things that are provable.
Correct.
The Constitution says this. Well, it's right there. I can read it and I can prove it.
Correct.
The Bill of Rights says this. I can read it. I can prove it.
Correct.
I don't talk about things that are unprovable because that does nothing but dilute my message. But then again, at the same time, that's for each person to decide what they believe. A lot of people believe in aliens. Great, go ahead. I don't talk about it though because I can't prove it.
Well, I believe in aliens. By the way,
they very well could exist. I don't discount
They've been
it.
around since, in my opinion, since the beginning of time, way before the beginning of time.
Well, you know what? I always say something. Absence of evidence is not evidence of absence.
Right. Everyone, I just wanted to point out, we just did a very nice tour of San Diego. We're back at the Midway again, and I hope you're enjoying the conversation because Randy here does have the facts. The facts are the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, the
Declaration of Independence.
What are the foreign ones called? Those foreign Bills of Rights.
Well, nobody else has a Bill of Rights. We're the only country in the world.
No, there's other ones. I can point them out. I mean, every country has.
We're the only one that actually recognizes that my rights come because I am born. My rights come by natural law or God or a creator. Okay. Everybody else's rights are given to them by the government and it can't be taken away.
Isn't this interesting? You get 2 girls here, one with a mask, one without a mask. They're obviously friends. They both have different beliefs. Arrest
is banned until July. Well, I've got this thing called the right to travel. I got the freedom to travel. I got the right to travel. So if it's my right to go where I want without hindrance.
They don't let you though, then what are you going to do?
Well, last time the government tried to do that to us, it was the King of England, and we killed him, and we killed the men who came to enforce his law, his rules, because they were not rules. We had rights, and he stole them or was trying to steal them, and we did not allow it. And it got to the point where we said enough is enough, and we started killing them, and we took our rights.
Right.
But hey, that's up to each man to decide how important is your freedom.
Right. And just speaking on that subject, our freedom to go out and make a living again. This is City Hall you're all looking at right there on the right there. And on last Saturday, I was there, and there were thousands of people in a very, very positive rally. There was nobody that was angry about anything. They were cheering and honking and waving. And it was more energy than I've seen in months from humans. You know what I'm saying? Because we haven't been out in public anyway. But this whole block here was a line of cars honking and waving flags and saying, let's get back to business. Because people do need to work, and they, you know, $1,200 isn't going to go that far.
You know, we have these rights. We have the right to work. We have the right to produce income. We have the right to feed our family. We have the right to eat. These are not privileges granted by government. These are our rights. And when you tell people they can't work, when you tell them you have to sit in your home, when you tell them that you have to starve because you can't go work, everybody's violating our rights. So you know what? People are out here just demanding what Americans should all demand. Stay out of my life. Ronald Reagan said it best. The greatest right that we as Americans have is the right to be left alone by government.
Well, you know, he's my friend, Ronald Reagan. He did
Really?
He did my mom.
I would love to have met him.
He's when he called me as governor, I never heard such a beautiful voice in all my life. It was so well spoken, and he's on the cover of my book. By the way, let me do a shout out. Buy my book. It's called Lester's Legacy. It's my autobiography, and it's in the script form now, and people are considering making it into a movie, which might happen and it might not happen. It doesn't matter. Nothing really matters. Happiness is the only thing that matters, everybody. Try to make yourself some happiness. Anyway, everybody, I want to thank you for tuning in. I'm going to have more from Randy as we do some business deals together. And he's got a lot to say, and I think it's worth listening to. Be fantastic, everyone. Be kind to one another. Be civil to one another. You know, love yourself. You're the most important person in the world. Know that. And don't let anyone tell you anything different. Be fantastic, everyone. Join the movement. Like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you tomorrow at noon. And call in anytime you like. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye, everyone. Now, why does it say 20 minutes when